Today, for the first time, Donald Trump took the stand in one of his many trials. Not the two federal trials, not the Georgia racketeering trial, not the hush money trial, the civil fraud trial underway in Manhattan right now. Trump's been attending every day, doesn't apparently have anything better to do, and he was summoned to the witness stand by the judge himself to answer for a potential violation of a gag order the judge imposed 3 weeks ago. That gag order came after Trump posted a photo to social media of the court's clerk attacking her. And the gag order banned Trump from, reasonably, I'd say, quote, posting or speaking publicly about the judge's staff. Well, this morning, Trump went to the cameras outside the courtroom and he said this.
If we had a jury, it would have been fair, at least, even if it was a somewhat negative jury, because no negative jury would vote against me. But this judge will, because this judge is a very partisan judge, with a person who's very partisan sitting alongside of him, perhaps even much more partisan than he is.
He said the judges with a partisan person sitting alongside him. The judge took issue with that comment, summoned Trump to the witness stand to answer for it. He asked him, quote, to whom were you referring when you said the person sitting alongside of him? You and Cohn, Trump said. The judge asked, are you sure you didn't mean the person on the other side of me, my principal law clerk? Yes, I am sure. Later, the judge asked Trump, quote, don't you always refer to Michael Cohen as Michael Cohen? No, Trump said. His attorneys jumped in to help him out, with Chris Kise insisting many things even worse than that. Alina Habba adding, quote, yes, Your Honor, I can confirm that much worse. The judge then made his decision, and I quote the judge here, as the trier of fact, I find the witness is not credible that he was referring to my law clerk, who is principal law clerk, who is sitting much closer to me, who doesn't have a barrier, whom I believe has been accused by the defendant of being partisan or Democrat or partisan Democrat. I hereby fine you $10,000, which is on the low side, to be paid within 30 days to the lawyer's fund for client protection. Now, about 45 minutes after that, the judge denied a motion by Trump's lawyer. And to the apparent surprise of his attorneys, Trump stormed out of the courtroom with Secret Service chasing behind. Irate and red-faced, he stopped, only to talk to the scrambling cameras outside the courtroom.
The witness just admitted that we won the trial, and the judge should end this trial immediately. Thank you.
The witness admitted no such thing. Joining me now are two people who were in the courtroom for that incredible scene in different roles. So your client, was he in the room today as well? He was. He started the day on the stand, right?
He was on the stand almost the entire day, other than for the portion of the day where the judge found Mr. Trump not credible.
Right. So what happens is Trump comes out and says that thing, right? Which, I don't know, you guys were in the room and sort of caught the vibe. It seems to me obvious he was talking about the judge's clerk, who he has a fixation on, who the lawyers apparently have a little bit of fixation on. Is that a fair reading? Do you think there's any context clues he was actually talking about your client, Michael Cohen?
Well, when he wants to talk about Michael Cohen, he says Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
In fact, he did in a True Social post last evening. He did in front of the cameras today. So he certainly knows how to direct his vitriol in Mr. Cohen's general direction. So I certainly think the judge had ample support for his credibility determination.
You know, without the rest of the quote, it's a little bit arguable. You could even be generous to Trump and say it's ambiguous. But there was a portion of that quote that we didn't have an opportunity to play on air where he returns to talking about Michael Cohen. And that, to me, makes it even more clear that at the very beginning, he is indeed talking about the judge's principal law clerk, because then he changes subjects to talk about Michael Cohen.
And just, again, to be clear here, just you guys putting on your, experience in a courtroom. I mean, going after a judge's clerk, posting them on social media when you are a person who, when you draw attention to people, often they will have security concerns. Posting a picture, being ordered by the judge to take it down, not taking down one of them, getting a fine for that, and then coming out and in your veiled and clever way talking about that. I mean, that's totally out of bounds, right?
Totally out.
I mean, I'm like, how is this? And it just seems like one of these things where from the beginning this started, this is a guy who's got one mode. Test, 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 test. And now we're seeing it in every different venue with Judge Chutkan, right? Judge Chutkan gives him a gag order. Yep. Then she temporarily lifts the gag order pending an appeal. And he goes on True Social and he's not violating it, the gag order stayed, The failing New York Times story leaked by deranged Jack Smith, blah, 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 goes after a guy who might be a witness. Like, exactly
Kyle Chaney of Politico said it right this morning. He said it was like a checklist of how to violate the gag order. You know, Kirsten, I'd also point out to you, though, that even if the gag order is stayed, he still has conditions of release that include not violating any state, federal, or local statutes. There is a witness tampering statute, 18 U.S.C. 1512. I encourage our viewers to look it up. It's arguable that he violated that even if that federal gag order is stayed. But you're right. He's trying to test at every front. And sometimes he might not even be trying. I really do think he has a problem with impulse control and certainly has a problem with listening to his lawyers.